Climbers. I'm supposed to have a cold open for this episode, and I have a really bad cold, and I can't think of an open, so this is my cold open. Welcome to the Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. Leverage is what you're going to need, guys. You get to do it yourself now. That's the good news and the bad news. That's why we called it The Climb. C.L.I.M.B. Creating leverage in the music business. See what we did there? Thank God for my co-host, good friend, and amazing lyricist, and awesome dad, and amazing father, and killer husband. Brent Baxter is a hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. Pumping out number ones in the last few years with Southern gospel hits, and still on the climb, still on the hustle. What I love about Brent is he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then the last part of it is getting relationships with the pros to put that competitive work in front of their eyes. And Brent takes care of all that for you at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I'd like to introduce you to my half-dead co-host, Johnny Dwinell, or I guess it is Johnny Dwindle this time, because his energy is dwindling. So Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. Listen, if you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D. If there was another one, we'd have gotten him, because he'd probably
We'd have gotten him.
Yeah. Listen, Climbers.
You probably asked me how I'm doing, and this is the part where I tell you, like, I'm freaking miserable. But I'm here.
Right.
I'm playing sick, man.
That's right, man.
I'm playing sick. And I've done this in every band I've been in where it's ride or die, bro. Like, if you don't play that night, you're not going to get paid for it. And we can't afford to not get paid for one night. And so there I am in my leather pants with my guitar and no shirt on, singing like a banshee, sweating like a banshee, sick as a dog with 102-degree temperature. But I do it. Why? Because that's the job, man.
That's the job. That's right. And this is episode 350. We can't miss episode 350 because Johnny got a cold.
No, that's right. And I don't know if it's a cold or what, but it's definitely like I got a fever. Like I'm miserable. I'm be coughing. I got it from Janelle, who you can hear in the background coughing. That's her. It's real. The struggle is real right now, but I'm here for you guys. I'm here for you.
That's right. That's right.
I don't let my boy down, Brent. Brent doesn't let me down. And we're certainly, as a duo, not going to let you guys down, right? We're here, and we've got something good. So who knows? Maybe this, normally Johnny on a scale of 1 to 10 of energy is at like a 20. Now I'm on like a 4. So I don't know. Maybe I get through to a couple more people now because it's a little too bright for some people.
We'll start you off on Johnny's sick episode.
It's a little much.
And no, it's like Hazel had to go in the hospital at this point, recording a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, something like that. It all blurs. But, she was lethargic. And we're like, this isn't normal, because she's normally like, and we figured out all it takes to knock her down a notch is RSV, strep, and pneumonia. That will chill her out. All three.
Is it wrong to want to just have a little bit of that in a syringe so you can dial her down when you need to?
Just a vial of that home with me.
I want to hurt her.
I mean, she still was all right. She just chilled. I'm like, that's what it takes to, So it probably must be something pretty serious to knock Johnny's energy down too, because I think you're on.
Yeah, no, it's pretty serious. So Janelle and I went down to Arizona, and we had a party, like a Halloween party there, that was hosted by the next week's host of the first Nashville Nights house party that we had in Arizona. So it's like, kind of a thing, like we really wanted to show up for that. And, and it was exciting, man. I dressed up as Peter Pan. She dressed up as Tinkerbell.
Nice.
Allie Colleen came over and had some ears, like Tinkerbell elf ears or whatever that she showed her how to do. And so she was all dialed in.
Nice.
on the whole. It was great. There's pictures I think on my Facebook, but then we went to Mexico with our kids to Rocky Point for 5 days,
Oh,
which was
cool.
just amazing, and we drank a lot of tequila, a lot of tequila, and then we came back, and there was like a Nashville Nights show on Friday, and then we had the house party on a Sunday, and it was very successful. It was very cool.
Awesome.
So these people held this in their backyard. There was 50 people there, spent $50 a piece to come
Wow.
and listen to the stories behind the songs. We had Josh Roy, my artist, who we're going to talk a lot about today, and
Mm.
also Kinsey Rose, who was on The Voice last year. I think she got into, what did she get into? The top 20, I think, maybe, or
Cool.
top 30. And I mean, so she was on TV,
Mhm.
and she's amazing. Like her voice is just fantastic. And then Blue Foley, it's his show. So it went really well. And then after all that, like we came home, and I'm just trying to, get back on track. And you know how you kind of need a vacation from your vacation. And
Right, yeah.
I just hit the ground with like nothing but full on media days in a row this week. And so like yesterday, it was like that was the end of it, and now it just everything fell apart. So that's where I'm at. But we're gonna talk today. We're gonna talk about your rapper.
As in my
I don't
Vanilla
mean rap
Ice,
music.
my rap nickname, Dirty Old Baxter? That kinda rapper?
Dirty old man.
Dirty Old Baxter with the 3 X's?
Dude, sometimes it hurts when I laugh, so you gotta
Tone it
be
down
a
a
little
little bit.
careful. Oh my god.
Or 51G?
But what we're gonna get into is just really the importance of, especially in the beginning, which there's so many artists. Well, I was about to say there's so many artists that listen to us, indie artists that are just trying to launch their careers, but there's a lot of artists who are, they're mid-level artists, right? They're
Mhm.
generating cash flow, $300,000, $400,000, but they still need to listen to this too because, man, it's like they used to say on Thursday nights on NBC back in the day with Seinfeld and Friends
Mhm.
and all that when they would do reruns. It's like if you haven't seen it, it's new to you. And
Yeah.
so, to sort of view from a higher perspective that because you came out with a certain song with a certain record and a certain look, and now it's farther down the line
Mhm.
that new people um, should be hip to your brand
Mhm.
when you haven't turned them on yet is kind of it's not correct, and so it doesn't work the same way it would on a broadcast platform, like when radio is big, So,
Mhm.
we're going to get into some specifics of this, and I'm going to attribute everything to some of the work we're doing with my artist Josh Roy that I'm managing with DDP Worldwide, which is Dennis and Diana Petty,
Mhm.
and um, that's how we were introduced to this kid. If you remember, I think we mentioned something about him opening up for Scotty McCreery, I think
I think we've talked
on
about that on the show,
a
yeah.
previous episode or whatever. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of talk about the steps we've been taking with his career. I've got a very, very talented artist. I've got a guy an artist who's gonna walk through doors when those doors are opened up. And um, I don't want to say fearless because I'm sure he's got fear, but he's definitely courageous.
Well, brave, right? Courageous. That's
Brave,
the
yeah,
difference. You don't
and
have to be
courage. He
fearless,
walks
you just
forward in
gotta
the
be
face
brave.
of fear. Like,
Mhm.
we're gonna try this thing. I'm not sure what the hell's gonna happen, but I'm gonna do it because it's the only way I'm gonna get to the next step, the next rung on the ladder on the climb.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna talk about. But before we get to that, have we got any wins? Like, well, first of all, see, I'm off. I'm off, man. Join the Facebook community, the Climb community on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/groups/ the Climb community. You have to ask to be let in, but we let everybody in. I promise. There's probably a bunch of people waiting to get in now, and I just haven't looked at it.
No, we're doing alright at the moment.
Okay, good. So this is not a ghost town community, man. This is singers, songwriters, indie artists, indie musicians supporting one another. We want to hear about your gigs. We want to hear about your wins. We
Mhm.
want to hear about your new songs. And we have a place in this group for you to put everything and get the accolades that you want. And the feed is not the place to do it. So just know that we protect the feed, the main feed with
Mhm.
our lives. I mean, like if you put something in there that's all about you in the main feed, it's like we know you don't even listen to podcasts.
That's right.
That's the first red flag. So you're probably gonna get roadhoused out pretty quick on that. But no, having said that, we wanna hear just like, hey, Wednesday wins, right?
Mhm.
Do we have any wins this Wednesday, buddy?
We do. We do. Every Wednesday, we post the New Heights post, and so this is where we encourage you to share your wins, your music-related wins with the Climb community, and that's where we want you to brag on yourself and celebrate, so we can celebrate with you and give you all the attaboys and attagirls and all that good stuff. So we're just gonna share a couple of these because we don't have time to do all of them, which is a good problem to have. Let's see. Will Gunnell Music says he has over 160,000 streams. Ain't too bad. The song
Good
called
job,
5
Will.
Second Smile. Yes. So 5 Second Smile on Spotify, it shows here over 160,000 streams all time. And he also has a cool Trop Rock Christmas release coming soon. And so, not only that, but like Sunday Joe Graham is saying, that's amazing, encouraging. And that's what we love under the New Heights, is that people often hop on there and congratulate each other. And if you want to get noticed in the community, it's not even so much sharing your wins, which is great, and we want you to do that. It's commenting on other people's wins and posts and stuff. That's how people notice you. Because Sunday Joe just got a win and a shout out. Why? Just because she was congratulating somebody. Hey, a little hack for you there. But it's like honest. So let's see
Yeah.
here. Another one. Let's just share. Let's find a good one here. Yes, Marvin Adcock. He is a climber and a songwriting pro member. Just had a
Nice.
song used in an AMC television series this week, and a different song being pitched to a Fox series this week. So Marvin Adcock, congratulations, he's a song pro and a climber. Look at that, getting something used in an AMC television show. Psh, dude, that's awesome. Marvin lives in Kansas. All right,
Starts
so it's
with
not like
one.
he is in LA making this stuff happen. He's doing it from freaking Kansas. Love that. All right.
We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto.
No,
We're on
and the
AMC.
songs aren't staying in Kansas either. So, shout out
Nice. Good
Marvin
for
for a good
you.
job, and there are others in there, so y'all, good job, and just keep on climbing.
Yeah, keep on climbing. And make sure you subscribe or follow the podcast, whatever platform that you're on, and tell a friend about it, guys. That's the big deal. I mean, look at we are here. We are more reliable than the U.S. Postal Service, man. Hell and high water, snow, rain, sleet, cold. If I'm circling the drain on my deathbed, I'm going to squeeze out one more podcast because that brings me
There you
joy. And I love hanging with my boy Brent.
go.
And half the time we talk about stuff and we're hashing this stuff out. It's just as much for me. I can't speak for Brent, but it's just as much for me as it is for you. You know what I mean? Like how sometimes when you're talking about something, you got a problem, or you got an issue, or you got a puzzle, you know, something you're challenged, something you're trying to solve, something you're trying to figure out the best way to approach. And just by talking out loud, you figure it out. You tell yourself, so that happens so much with us when I do this stuff too. So
And one thing, they say, if you want to learn something, teach it, which I definitely feel that way. But also, one thing I was thinking about when you're talking about going down to, I guess Arizona or New Mexico or something, with the Northern
Arizona and
Lights stuff.
Mexico, like proper Mexico.
Well, you went down there afterwards, but
Mexico.
with the other trip you went on, it's like Johnny's doing this. He had like 3 full media days. So it's like he's doing this. He's not just talking about it. He's actually working with artists, growing careers, that sort of thing. And I'm doing the same thing writing wise. So it's not like, we're not actually doing this. So this is helpful for me, all this stuff too that I talk about, because it keeps me reminded of it, and it keeps all this stuff top of mind. So I have no excuses for not taking my own medicine. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And so on that note, like one of the cool things about having the podcast is like people will submit ideas sometimes, right?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, this could be a cool podcast. That could be a cool podcast. Or they ask a question where, they somehow they engage with us in it. All of a sudden I'm like, okay, that's an episode. Like we need to do that.
Yeah.
This is one of those cases. So, my very good friend, and he works with me a lot now at Daredevil, Randy Barber from Barfrog Music. We've had him on the show before. Who, by the way, I don't know if I told you this, but he's going to be on. I gotta send him a freaking link, man. But I think I keep forgetting. I see him every damn day, and I just think, oh, it'll be easy to send him a link, and I just don't send him the. I think I'm guilty of not sending the link to come on Song Title Challenge.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Randy just got another cut on a Jelly Roll record with like maybe arguably one of my favorite country music songs ever. So if you guys don't know who Randy Barber is, I want to turn you on to like one of the greatest indie country records that you're ever going to hear, right? Like it's so amazing. And the artist's name is Eric Lee Bedingfield. And the record is called This Life Is Ain't for Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you can't miss it. Eric's there. He just looks like a mafia guy, right? With a leather jacket on, a big cigar in his mouth, and pair of shades and close shaven head. He looks like he's there to break your ankles. And when you meet Eric in person, I think he's like 6'4". He's a huge presence.
Yeah.
And maybe he's 6'6", just a big
He's a king-size
dude.
Bedingfield.
Yeah. He's a king-size Bedingfield. That's right. And he's the sweetest guy,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't know but the first time you see him, you're like, oh, do I owe you money? Like, what's going on? But that record is amazing. And the song that he got cut, and the only reason I'm saying this is because Randy sent me this idea for today's show. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the song that Jelly Roll's going to cut, which is a really big deal,
Mm-hmm.
is because he's a big Warner artist now, right? He's really starting to blow
really
up. Well. Is called More Than 1 Year at a Time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like, I think the fourth time that this song has been cut.
Yeah.
Right. So they put the album out in 2012. It was on Music Row charts. I think he got the Indie Artist Award for the most spins of any indie artist in 2012. And a couple major artists like Jacob Bryant cut it. And now Jelly Roll's cut it, and it's just this incredible song. So go listen to that, you guys. It's like amazing. Kent Wells produced it, who does Dolly and all this. But this is like a Southern rock kind. This is like an outlaw country record, that's just really, really legit and real. But so Randy sends me this, and because he's in my office all the time, so we just have for years we've just been having conversations, about what happened. And Randy comes from radio, you know what I mean? So just to give you a little background on Barber, like he used to work at C.L.I.M.B, and I think he was the first guy to go out with Dylan
Scott.
Dylan Scott, yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's had a front row seat for all this stuff. And so when he sends me stuff, I pay attention because I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So here's what he sent me. I'm going to read this to you, and I want you guys to think about this. It's a quick little text. It's maybe 45 seconds, and then we're just going to kind of unpack this, okay? Mm-hmm. So think about this realistically here. You wouldn't buy a candy bar packaged in plastic wrap and Scotch tape with the words "really good candy" written on it.
Except for you minimalists out there. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, imagine going into the candy bar aisle in whatever, Walgreens or at a grocery store or at a 7-Eleven or something like that, where you see all these candy bars, and then here's this box of, just imagine that, right? Plastic wrap candy, Scotch taped up, and some handwritten crap, really good candy written on it. You wouldn't do it, right? You can't trust.
I really wanted some fentanyl.
Yeah,
there's a decent chance. Whatever's
if I'm
in here is
really
going to
looking for it out. Yeah, I mean, you can't trust it, right? That's basically what you just said.
Yes,
you can't trust that. They didn't go to the trouble of getting a proper wrapper.
Yeah,
on the candy, and so and what is it even doing? What's it even doing there next to the Snickers and the Twix bars that we know and that we love, right? Is it safe? You don't know.
I'm doubting it.
Right? Is it good?
I'm doubting that too.
You don't know, right?
Right.
What's in it?
No idea.
We don't know. So it's like right there's like too
I don't
many
even
questions.
know if it's like chocolate-based candy or like Smarties, just
Yeah, just assume it's like chocolate based. Let's just call it a chocolate bar. Like,
how do we know?
We don't. Really could be a turd.
I have no idea. I don't even know if it's fruit candy. Is it gummy? Is it chewy chocolate? Is it crispy chocolate? I don't know.
Yeah,
and I don't. And I have opinions. I have a hierarchy of chocolate or of candy. Some things I dig, some things I don't. We just had Halloween. There's some things I dig through to get to other things. Okay, so really,
there you go.
Then tell me what I'm getting.
That's another way to put it. Let's say that your kids come back after Halloween, and you, as a good parent, you go through and you check all their candy, and here's a candy bar that comes out wrapped up in cellophane with Scotch tape, and it says "really good candy."
Again, fentanyl.
Yeah, you're like, in the garbage it goes, right?
Yes,
You don't
yes.
trust it at all. So,
There's probably a
I
razor blade in the fentanyl.
yeah, right. So, the fentanyl doesn't if the razor blade doesn't get you, the fentanyl will, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm saying this because, Randy writes, like, "Remember this next time you're choosing your photographer,
Mm,
you're choosing your promotional materials, you're putting together your concert posters, and especially album artwork and single artwork,
mhm,
right? A great album cover will get me excited to hear what's on the inside,
mhm. Yeah.
and a great album cover should also give me a good idea of at least the orbit on the
Mm,
planet I'm gonna orbit when I do listen to music
yes.
on the inside, you know? Um, but a poor album cover with a bad or a boring photo
Mhm.
or a concert poster with low quality pictures and crappy graphics, it tells me everything I need to know before I ever hear a single note,
Mhm.
right? It's not communicating. And there's some nuance to this I wanna talk about with another band that we're working with that I'm really excited about, but just these are questions and conversations that we've had with these artists,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna kinda unforce this, but it's unfortunate that this is the case, and it sounds cruel, but it's actually how we make decisions on
Mhm.
everything that we consume all day, every day. From the restaurants you go to, the hotels, to the next microwave that you purchase or exterminator you choose to hire at your home. If the visuals don't line up, we get an immediate gut check. We get a red flag. It
Mhm.
doesn't feel right, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same for music artists. People won't suspend their human nature just for us or just because we're good
Right.
and we deserve to be heard.
Mhm.
And just because we have something to say and it really means something to us, they won't.
Yeah. They'll never know.
They will see us before they hear us.
Mhm.
I'm gonna repeat that. They will see us before they hear us. And now I'm just gonna stray from the text for a second and add to that. We've talked about this in the podcast. Your live show, a lot of people are going to be spreading the love and spreading the gospel of their band, right? Like
Mhm.
like reaching new people from playing live. And this is just a reality. Tom Jackson spells this out in no uncertain terms that when you go to see a live show, you consume it. It's like 60% visual.
Mhm. I
So
mean, that's
it's
why they
more
have all
about
the
how it
lights.
looks than it is about the songs.
Mhm.
So it's more about the moments than it is about the songs in a live show,
Yeah. I mean, why do you think
right?
Garth Brooks went through all the trouble to at, like, Texas Stadium, I think it was, to have to make it rain inside, in a closed stadium when he was, I think, at Reunion Arena or something, or to make it, have fire come up under standing outside the fire at Texas Stadium, I think, and to do all this
Wow,
stuff.
I didn't know you did that. That's
Oh,
cool.
yeah, some of his TV specials, right?
Oh, okay.
Because it's the visual stuff. Didn't make the song
Yeah.
sound any better, but it made
It's a
the experience a
moment.
whole lot
It's a
cooler.
moment.
Oh, sure
You know,
was.
it's
Yeah.
okay. So the by far, and this is strictly my opinion, but by far, Uh, and the number 1, and when I say the number 1, I mean, like, the number 2 is a distant, vastly distant second.
Okay.
The very best Super Bowl halftime show, bar none, Prince.
Okay.
Prince's halftime show,
Mhm.
okay? And he goes on there, and for the first time in the history of the Super Bowl, and I don't remember which Super Bowl this was, but this is, like, somewhere between 45 and 50, I think. But in the history of the Super Bowl, it's never rained on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
And they're down in Miami, I think, and there's a huge storm coming in. There's a documentary on this, it's fascinating, and the producers are like, "Well, we gotta call Prince, right? We gotta I mean, they're plugged into electric stuff,
Right,
and,
those 2 things don't
we
go
have,
together.
an obligation, a health obligation to let him know this is gonna happen
Mhm.
and let him bag out if he wants to bag out because we can't I'm concerned." And so the producer, calls up Prince and is like, "Hey, man, look, this is looking really bad. We're gonna have a nasty storm coming through, and, I know you guys are plugged in electrically. I feel like there's an electrical issue. I feel like there's a health issue. I don't know how slippery that stage is gonna get for you,
Mhm.
and, I mean, what do you wanna do, Prince?" And his answer was, "Can you make it rain harder?" And the moment you made me think about this with the Garth Brooks thing, but the
Yeah.
moment was everybody singing Purple Rain
Yeah.
while it's just pouring down rain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a moment that happened on TV that I wasn't even there, but it gives me chills just thinking about it after watching it on TV because it was a moment.
Yeah.
It was so much more than the song,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Mhm.
It was the song and the moment, right?
Yeah.
So this is part of the rapping, okay? This is part of the rapping that we have to be thinking about the presentation.
Mhm.
Um, so the visual here is vital, right? Our rapper must be engaging and professional if that's how you want to be taken, if that's
Mhm.
how you want to be perceived. You know, we don't have to be a Snickers bar or Twix bar, but we do need to look like we belong on the candy aisle
Yes.
and we want to be sold and consumed alongside them. And this, and that's the end of the text that he sent me. And so I'm thinking about, um, this is maybe one of the biggest mistakes I see with artists because to them, when they're done with the mixes,
They're
they're
done.
done
Right. And I
because
don't
the
blame
art's
them.
finished.
I don't blame them for feeling that way because, like, who came to Nashville or wherever you are, got into the music business to, like, worry about pictures?
Yeah.
It's not what got
And it
me.
almost seems like, uh, ostentatious, right, or
Mhm.
braggadocious or,
Self-centered,
um,
narcissistic.
narcissistic, but it's like, okay, so now imagine that, okay, you're the candy bar,
Mhm.
and imagine that candy bar thinking like a Snickers wrapper is, let's just I'm not really there yet, or what, like,
Yeah.
let's just put the cellophane and some scotch tape around it. I like the way that vibe feels.
Yeah.
Or let's not spend the money
Feels organic.
on yeah, feels organic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's if they can't see past a bad picture that's overexposed,
That's on
um,
them.
yeah, that's on them. They should be able to see that. Like, how many times dude, you know how many times I've gotten that as a producer? You should be able to hear it through a crappy demo tape. Like, man, when it's sandwiched against 2 pro demo tapes,
That's a lot of
still a
work.
human.
Yeah.
Still a human.
Still, yeah.
Yeah. You're asking a lot. You're asking a lot from me
Mhm.
and all I feel like is like, if you don't give a shit about the recording of your song, why should I?
Yeah.
You know? So, eh, the number 1 to pay attention to the packaging and how it looks, and then number 2 to pay attention to, so I mean, it's one thing to have professional looking rappers, right?
Mhm.
But it's also another thing to make sure that the rapper is is describing visually what's inside.
Now, when you're talking about rappers, are we talking about, like, literally, like, CD covers? Are we talking about the single artwork that would be on, like, a Spotify or an Amazon that pulls up? What do you mean by, like, the rapper? Are we talking about what I'm
I mean,
wearing on stage? What are we
so
looking at?
yes, 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 and
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So your rapper is your artwork, your CD artwork, um, your your release artwork, your single artwork, okay? I don't
Mhm.
like the word single, but, your release artwork. Your rapper is the music video, isn't
Mhm.
it? Your rapper is, your live show.
Mhm.
That's a product,
Yeah.
and it's a different product than and this is what, Tom Jackson has preached for decades. It is a different musical product than your CD.
Mhm.
And so many artists get that wrong. Like, we want to go out and play it just like the record.
Yeah.
And it's important that you sound as good as the record does.
Mhm.
But if you think that, your 3.5 minute song, which is the recording, is packaged as a product for radio or as a product for streaming consumption, applies on a live show, which is a different
Yeah.
product,
It's
then
consumed
that's a
differently.
mistake,
Mhm.
and it's so common, like, so everybody listening to my voice right now, like, I've had this happen every single time I've talked to an artist who's gotten into a situation like this, and I learned it from Tom Jackson. He's like, "Artists get that chance to do that big opening show, right? That
Mhm.
big, opening up for a national, they get a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and then their first thought is how many songs can we pack in
Right, yeah.
to this time because they think it's about the songs.
Right. It's not.
And it's not. It's about the visual. So it's like how many moments can you pack in?
Mhm.
You know, and it's counterintuitive to what you think. And when you realize like how it's consumed, this is haven't we talked about this just in
I
terms
mean,
of digital?
it's about moments. I took some of the kids to a Southern gospel show last night as we were recording this. The Martins were in the area, and so they're a successful Southern gospel group. So I'm like, I'd take the kids. We'll go out and I'll hang out, get to meet them, and whatever. And I'm gonna hobnob and you do some work, but take the kids. And they would take time in between the songs, not between every song, but there'd be moments where like each of the three piece would kind of give some testimony and talk to the audience and stuff.
Mhm.
And they're professionals. They've been doing this a long time. And so it was polished but it was funny, it was real, it was poignant, it was touching. It was just as much an important part of that as any of the songs they sang, and more memorable than
Yeah.
some of the songs they sang. But they were making moments.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
about the music then, but that's part of what got me, like, their singing was great and the songs were good, and so, like, okay, I'm digging that, so I'm, like, on board with them as artists, and then it's like some of the testimonies, some of the moments they had, some of the times they made us laugh and said funny things or whatever, I'm like, "Oh, now I'm into them as people."
Yeah. And it is about the music. It's just not about playing the music
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
performing the music, but it all points back to the music,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Mhm.
Like because that's the
Well, 'cause
kind of
that may
music
be a
that it
lead
is.
into a song that's relevant that, dovetails from that conversation or that testimony or whatever, so it
Right.
sets it up.
So like how am I applying this myself?
Mhm.
So with I'm working with 2 artists right now that that I absolutely adore. I'm working with a bunch of artists, but these are 2 artists that I'm farther down on the journey with at the moment,
Mhm.
that are just kind of about to come out, right?
Yeah.
They're both are getting their mixes done on their record, and so we are gearing up for the promotional machine
Mhm.
that has to happen in order to put this music in front of new eyeballs and get them turned on to the artist, right? That's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
That's the only way it works, right?
Mhm.
Good art does not find its own audience.
Right.
It doesn't. Okay, you have to put it in front of an audience repeatedly, and then they're like, "This is really good,"
Mhm.
and then they share it, right? And
Yeah.
then it takes on a critical mass, but not until you've done that work. So, like with Josh Roy and a band called the Dirty Names, which is Harrison Cofer's band, rock band. Josh Roy's a country artist. Both of them really, really good, man. Like really good.
Yeah.
Like I just love their music. I love them as people. I love their artists, their artistry. And, I love their music, like it's so good, and I love their attention to the game, right? They wanna become students of the game. So, just some common I wanna talk about some pitfalls that we've had, and I wanna talk about some things that the way I'm approaching this with regards, like, to the rapper,
Mhm.
to all point back to the rapper. So, with Josh, he's been making a living down in Arizona singing for I don't know how long now, and I think he kind of went as far as he could go on his own,
Mhm.
and here's what's important about Josh. He knew that, right? So if you hear Dennis, his manager, tell the story of Dennis is a former celebrity chef. Dennis used to have a restaurant in Chandler, Arizona, or Gilbert, Arizona. They're right next to each other, so one
Mhm.
is as good as the other. Um, but not if you talk to people from Chandler or people from Gilbert. So
Well, yeah.
sorry.
They know it, yeah.
But, and Josh used to play there all the time, right? They just love Josh. So then in 2021, Dennis sells his restaurant. Finally, this is the last one. He's like, "I'm out." They've done well,
Yeah.
him and Diana, and they're like, we're done. We're gonna sell this thing." They sold it, and they had a huge party, and Josh played the party, and Dennis is hammered, right? Because this is kind of the end of an era, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a big era. He's done being a professional chef and restaurateur, blah, blah, blah. And they're just getting a conversation about Josh's career. And Dennis really loves Josh. He's been booking him for years now at the restaurant.
Mhm.
So they have a relationship. And Josh was like, "I think I've gone as far as I can with what I can do. I need to find some management and stuff." And
Mhm.
of course, Dennis is loaded, and he's like, "Well, after, I don't know, like 5 tequilas, he's like, "I'm gonna manage you." And Josh is like, "Okay, Dennis," like, whatever, and Diana's like, "Josh, don't listen to anything he says, like, he's really hammered right now.
Right, yeah.
He's very high on life, this is a
Yeah,
big deal, so I don't know if he means any of it."
yeah,
Not that Dennis is in any way, shape, or form flaky, because he's not, you know what I
yeah,
mean? But he was hammered and in a certain moment, but he meant every word of it, and I
yeah.
think both of them weren't sure, like, if the other was serious. But so Dennis gets involved and literally takes him from being a $600 a night band to the 18 to $2,500 a night,
Nice.
you know, because he changed the rapper. He started thinking, on some business parts of it, right? Well, I just
You
sent
figured
you
out how
that.
to plate him. You don't just
Yeah, how
cook
to
the food, you gotta
exactly.
plate it.
Yeah, you got to play it right, right? That's
Yeah.
everything. Presentation is everything in a
Right.
restaurant too,
Yeah,
right? Like if you have the best steak and it's just like there by itself on a white plate,
yeah.
it's a little underwhelming. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? It really is. So, they've been working really hard to build him up, and then I get involved with them.
mhm,
And so the first thing is, let's listen to music. The recordings were terrible. They'll tell you, they'll be the first one to tell you that,
mhm.
that they had. They just didn't have anybody at the helm that knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so first thing is we got to make sure the music's competitive.
Mhm,
And so that means songwriters, right? So we're getting songwriters in to make sure that this stuff is as good as it can possibly be.
mhm,
Right? And it's saying what Josh wants it to say. And so we recorded a 5-song EP. 4 out of the 5 songs are Josh had, and our songwriters like, Blue Foley and Chick Savage
mhm.
came in and fixed them,
Yeah.
you know, and made them better. And one of them is an outside cut from Blue. So Blue's got 5 cuts on this record, on the
Yeah.
5-song
Not too
EP.
bad. Yeah.
I mean, you want so from the songwriter perspective,
Right, right.
wow, good relationship to have. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Now Josh has investors. Um, But this, with or without investors, this stuff matters, and
Mhm,
it's you there are so many ways to cut corners, and what I mean by cut corners is a bad word. There's so many ways to be competitive without a boatload of money,
mhm,
okay? But you have to be aware of it. So, now we got a killer record, right?
mhm.
I co-produced it. Zach Allen, he's got 3 Grammys. He co-produced it, mixed it. I mean, these songs are we went to Starstruck. We had the top of the line. I mean, Rob McNally on guitar, Lonnie
Mhm.
Wilson on drums, Joe Key on acoustic guitar. I mean, just we had the goods.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna do pictures, right? So I got a couple photographers like in my stable that I really like, and we line up a photo shoot, and um, we get these pictures done. Well, pictures are not just in the same way that you can be a guitar owner versus a guitar player,
Yeah, I'm an owner.
right?
Yeah.
And in the same way that you can know how to press record on Pro Tools, but it doesn't mean you know how to make an album,
Right,
you know?
yes.
With the photographer, I can't tell you how many times this has happened where they just feel like, "Oh, now we gotta get some pictures done." It's like an afterthought,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? But there's no creativity or attention paid to what those pictures should be.
Right.
Like, how should the artist look?
Mhm,
Now uh Josh is not a cowboy, but Josh is definitely like a rugged dude.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, Josh loves to disappear with his kids in the woods for 3 days
Yeah.
and go camping, okay? And Josh, if the world comes to an end, pretty sure could just survive
Yeah.
on his own out in the friggin' desert with his family, and everything would be fine. He knows what to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've had conversations with Josh before where I needed something from him, and I'll call him. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm up in the attic working on the air conditioner."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Wow, okay, because I'm a call someone else, sir,"
Yes.
and he's a do-it-yourselfer, right?
Yes.
And so we hooked Josh up with a stylist, right? And I say this because one of the funny things was, like, it dawns on me because I know Josh. Um, I'm telling Dennis and Diana, like, "Okay, so we're gonna go buy all these clothes that the stylist recommended. We're gonna go do all this stuff, and we got, like, 4 different looks for him." To make him look more like an artist, right?
Yeah.
Because he looks more like he just got done before that, like he just got done fixing the air conditioner and then hopped up on stage, you know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
And so we want him to look more like an artist. It's not very flashy, or you wouldn't think it's flashy, but it's different.
Mhm.
And, um, I'm, like, telling Dennis to tell Josh, like, tell Josh that he can't fix his freaking air conditioner in these clothes. Like, he understands that you have to make that clear to him, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, "I know, we did that, and actually we keep the clothes." Like, so Josh, 'cause they'll forget, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's the and that's the beauty of Josh, you know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is like just like he just is gonna put on what he needs to put on. He's just a get it done kinda guy, you
Yeah.
know? Um, so then, you know, we got an opportunity to open up for the Scotty McCreery thing, right? So, and that's a testament to Josh's hard work. This has nothing to do with me.
Mhm.
Josh's hard work and Dennis and Diana's hard work managing him. And so we take advantage of that. Well, Janelle and I fly out to go see the show. And the first thing before we fly out, I asked Dennis is, "We're gonna have a camera crew there, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got a 2-camera shoot going." I'm like, "Okay."
Mhm.
Okay. So we have a budget for Josh. If you don't have a budget, you got 2 friends with 2 freaking iPhones.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's most important is that he's going to be on a bid. This was a big stage. It was a 50th anniversary for a casino.
Mhm.
Um, so it wasn't in the casino at the casino venue. It was outside in the parking lot with 4,000 people.
Yeah.
And one of those like 60-foot semi truck stages that, you know, this looks like a festival stage
Yeah.
because it is a festival stage, right?
Mhm.
This is exactly the stage they have at any given festival. And so I'm like, we need footage of that because this is I can talk about my artist all I want to,
Mhm.
but if I just show them, they'll get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll see it. So we did that. We got some great footage, and now we have another relationship with some festivals in the Midwest, and the relationship's so good. They're like, look, we're 95% sure he's going to be on this. So now we're at. By the way, these shows here,
Mhm.
um, $7,500 shows.
Nice.
Okay. So we gone from 600, and Dennis and Diana took them to like 825. And then as a team all together, we take them from 2,500 now to 7,500. And our relationship with this festival booker is, you know, you're like 95% there, but I need an EPK
Yeah.
to send to him, you
Which
know?
EPK
And
is an
so,
electronic press kit, right?
right. I just need to show everybody else on the team. I pretty much sold them, but I need to show them. I need to be able to just prove what I did. Now, if I'm showing them club gigs, different rapper, right?
Yeah.
If I got footage from club gigs, different rapper. Now it could work if you had just crushed people like, you know, everybody has at least 1 or 2 gigs every year where it's just by the live gods smile upon you and
Yeah.
it's sold out, or you have this opening slot and it's just a magical night. Well,
Mhm.
if you haven't taken the extra time to get cameras there, then it is a moment in time that is here and gone and you haven't captured it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And you can't put it on your wrapper,
Right.
you know? So with Josh, I just sent you that. How did you feel about that? I just sent you the EPK.
I thought it was good, man. I thought it looked professional. I definitely noticed the big festival stage that he was on. You even included a little bit of audio of people singing along with one of his original songs, doing the big
Mhm.
adios thing. I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Like, shows audience participation. Like, it comes off much more like a star. He's playing big shows and people are singing along. That's what happens at big shows with big artists. So
Yeah,
it
that's
had,
exactly right.
like, okay, that's belong. You show them in the studio, that kind of stuff. So yeah, just seemed to make sense.
So let's just talk about all the attention to detail that went before and after this show.
Mhm.
And we're just strictly thinking about the rapper,
Yeah.
right? So before the show, like I flew in a day before to work with the band literally for 3.5 hours
Mhm.
before the gig to create some moments.
Yeah.
And the first thing I asked them when I walked in the room was, I'll bet you guys are thinking how many songs you can pop into. Scotty McCreery gave him an hour. You're probably thinking, how many songs can you pack into 1 hour? And they're like,
Yeah.
yep. And I'm like, nope.
Nope.
And so created a couple moments. He's got this song called Live Life. You know, the lyric is live life, give it all, and then some, because after all, you're only going to get one.
Yeah.
You don't want to look back wishing that you had done something that you didn't when you had the chance.
Mhm.
Live life like there's no tomorrow, because after all the time is borrowed. You've got to live, 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 live life, right?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, that lyric, this is the song. It's an up tempo, so this is your show opener. And I said, I just want you to go out and vamp on that a cappella, you know,
Mhm.
because the message is so strong, right?
Yeah.
This is not a meatball across the plate, trite message is like, live life, give it all, and then some, and take a beat.
Yeah.
Because after all, you're only gonna get one. You know, do your thing like that. And then I said, let's break down the song, that the part that you mentioned in the EPK where everybody sings along. It was a song called 3 Days in Mexico. And it's like, there's this big, you know, adios, baby, adios, right?
Yeah.
And so we set that up intentionally
Yeah.
to elicit that response. And we got it because he sold it on stage. But we got to go out there. We got to walk through that door. We got to create that wrapper on the live product
Mhm.
to make that work. So after that show, the huge company called R Entertainment that was hired by the casino to put that show on chose Josh, right? And then we went and delivered, and they were gushing. I mean, the president and the VP of the company were there. Oh man, we do 230 shows a year, and we're gonna be working with you a lot more. I haven't seen enthusiasm like that in forever. Like, we love it. And then now we've got the footage because we thought in advance to get the footage. So now we're gonna get these festival shows because I've got footage of him and put together an EPK really quickly that looks like he belongs on that
Yeah.
stage, right? And stuff. And so rapper,
Mhm.
like this all matters, you know, like what
I mean,
does it look
if it is
like what
showing
it is?
him walking down a train track in the country with his guitar over his back, snooze fest. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I think what is the cliche thing? Train tracks with your
yeah.
guitar, walking, looking back at the camera. You know, like, if I see that, I'm immediately thinking this music is gonna be as unoriginal as that photo, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we even made a joke about it when we were in Denmark at the Nashville Nights thing, when we were on that whole multi-hour excursion, which should have been like a 25-minute trip to the castle, ended up being like 3 hours. You
yeah.
know, at one point we were like hanging out kind of stranded by the train tracks. And I was like, guys, we're singer-songwriters. We got to get a picture by train tracks. And so we that just as a joke, like all
I
of us
saw
like
those
train
pictures.
tracking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that just came from like, well, this is what we do. There's train tracks. Somebody gets the phone out. We got to take pictures because that's what we do, you know. And so it's enough of a joke that, like, yeah, I'm going to imagine your music is as uninspiring and unoriginal as your packaging. Because what
Yeah,
else do I
yeah,
have to go off on
exactly.
that point? If I don't know you, that's all I have to go on. So that's 100% information
Exactly.
I'm
So
getting.
and so on that note, like, let's just talk about photographers for a second. You know, being a camera owner does not mean you're a photographer.
Yes.
Being able to focus a camera and take a decent picture does not mean that you're a photographer for artists.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times people have a friend. Well, my friend does all the photos for weddings and stuff. Okay, that's great. Now, I actually have one of my favorite photographers. Does a lot of weddings too,
Mhm.
but she also does incredible live stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like capturing live moments and stuff. Like, her eye is amazing.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody that just does weddings, you need to ask yourself, like, are these pictures going to look like wedding pictures?
Right.
You know, um, I've had an artist that came to me, show me their pictures, and I'm like, they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, and they were from DC, they're from Virginia or DC
Okay.
area, you know, but basically right in there. And I'm like, well, this looks like your photographer. This looks like a freaking NSA badge. You know? I'm like, "Well, oddly enough, that's what he does for a living." And I'm like, "I know, I can tell." You know
You
what I mean?
you
Like,
look like
that's
you're dying inside just a little bit every day when you go to work.
exactly.
Yeah.
I had another one where they came in and like, "What do you think of the pictures?" And I'm like, "Well, this looks like a yearbook photo or something." Like, "Well, that's our friend, and they shoot all the pictures for the yearbook." And I'm like, "No." Like,
Mm.
choose carefully, right? Like, and with your iPhone now, you can get such good pictures, man,
Yeah.
that if you put an hour at a time in with the same way we put 15 minutes in with Song Title Challenge, into just trying some different angles and some different clothes
Mhm.
and spend some time on the wrapper, you're going to start to find stuff that looks cool
Yeah.
for no money. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And you're going to start to find angles and different ways to make you look like an artist and not make you look, uh, like a boring rapper, right?
Yeah. Not
And
your senior
and then
picture.
the other thing I was going to say, just don't get too artistic with it. Like, I'm working with the Dirty Names, and I'm about to post some content for their next live show, which is happening on Wednesday, and or create a campaign for it, right?
Mhm.
And the first one that they did, like, they kinda got the stuff to me late. This is the first time we worked together, so I'm not, I'm not banging on these guys at all. Like, again, I love this band,
Mhm.
and they're figuring out the rapper stuff now, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the image, the show poster they sent me was it looked like somebody vomited all over it.
Yeah.
Like, I know what it is, and I can't figure out what it is.
Right, yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm trying to hard to find what it is I'm looking for. Like, who are the openers?
Mhm.
Right? And I can't find it because it's so busy. That picture was so busy.
Yeah.
It was, like, very artistic,
Mhm.
but that's not a good rapper, man.
Right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? If the word Snickers is, a millimeter, and there's a bunch of other colorful crap on there and everything like that, you have no idea what the hell it is,
Right, yeah.
right? But what's the biggest thing on a Snickers wrapper? The word Snickers.
Right.
Like, it's,
'Cause that's
it's
all
just
I
that
need to know at this point.
yeah, exactly. So, we had that conversation. I'm like, "All right, make this less busy," you know?
Mhm.
And so then the second show that we're gonna promote for them right now, "Okay, how's this?" I'm like, "Dude, how do you feel like it is?" And he gave me an honest answer, Harrison did. He's like, "Well, I like them both." And he's being straight up
Mhm.
and honest, but I'm like, "No, this is the one though. Like, you gotta
Yeah.
do it like this," because it's not about being artistic, it's about communicating. This is a live show, here's who's on it,
Yeah.
and, so the rapper guys, I wanted to take some time and just refocus everybody on when you get done recording. It's one of the greatest quotes I think I ever heard from Rick Monroe, where he's like, Johnny, after hanging out with you and all the conversations we've had and just listening to you, and we've been friends for a long time, he's just like, as a band, Rick Monroe and the Hitmen, he goes, we finally figured out that, like, once we're done mixing the record, like, we're not done. We're
Yeah.
just getting started. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. And I can't wait to look back. We're 6 months out now, so like in another 6 months, a year after this epiphany,
Mhm.
and see how much better the band's doing. Just because they have um, competitive songs,
Mhm.
competitive recordings, they know how to make the donuts,
Well,
but now they put a definite focus on the rapper.
here's the deal. This just hit me. So the studio, like where you record, is not where you grow your career, right?
Right.
You grow your career outside the studio. What happens in the studio is what makes your career worth growing
Oh,
or able to
that's
grow.
so
You know,
strong. That's so
you
strong.
don't grow it in the studio. Unless you got some
No.
hydroponics and some sun lamps, but we won't go into that.
You don't grow your career in the studio, it's what makes your career worth growing.
Yeah,
You have to grow it outside of the studio. I'm so stealing that.
feel
That's
it. Y'all
brilliant.
heard it here first.
It's the perfect way to end this episode, which I promised because I feel so crappy wouldn't go long. But look at me, guys. I'm just as God made me. I can't stop talking, even when I'm miserable.
Go long, Johnny.
All right, we love you guys. This brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. Um, Make sure you join the Climb community. Make sure that you subscribe or follow the podcast and tell a friend about it. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you in the ER, Johnny. Or the top.
Hopefully not.